Hey, um, so this is a little bit of a description around the model that I built and the analysis that it provides. For this example of kind of like a demo document, we're looking at the city of Atlanta specifically. Um, so what we have right here is rankings based on the city of Atlanta, and it's specifically broken down by regions within that city. And so I provide the data on this tab, and this is where I get all the data. Um, these are all the Airbnbs, and right now they're at the time of extracting the data of all the listings, there were about 9,100. Um, and I have some formulas running in the background to provide certain information around the analysis. And I have certain criteria built to extract the good data versus the bad data. So out of 9,100 listings, there are around 2,200 good listings based on the criteria and determining what criteria you're looking at. I can always change the metrics around that criteria. So right now, the criteria is built on having a certain number of reviews. So the listing needs to have at least 10 reviews. If it has anything less than 10, we classify it as not a good listing because either less than 10, those can always be fake reviews, and less than 10 kind of determines whether the listing looks good or not, and people don't typically book ugly units. And then another criteria that we have built in is around days available. So it needs to at least be 250 days available on the market to be classified as a good unit because it has a certain amount of data that's been provided, the occupancy rate, the daily, average daily rate, and the amount of revenue that is generated around that time. So that's the parameters that we have built in that is classified as good data. And around this, I extract it and then I bring it into a different tab to where all we see is the good data. So right now we see that there's 2,200 good pieces of data, and that validates and checks with this. So if there's ever anything wrong, say we delete, one row, you see it go from valid and good to not good. So this is just an extra level of validation to make sure that we're running analysis properly. But this is all under the hood stuff, not really important to you. Just want to kind of give a thorough deep dive around the model and the accuracy of the data. Just to kind of give you a little bit of the framework, we have the ratings for each property, the days available for each property, the property's title. We have the occupancy, the average occupancy, the amount of bedrooms, bathrooms, how many they accommodate, the amount of reviews they have, the revenue, longitude, latitude, just to, I'll get into that later, but to just kind of pinpoint the good units, the specific region, the average daily rate, and then we have, this is just where the listings are put on. So we have Airbnb, HomeAway, which is verbal, and then we have the links to the property. So if we click on one of these, it will bring us into one of the links. And this is part of the analysis. I get the data from a vast array of websites, but they track the data. And sometimes if the unit isn't on anymore, the listing link is still on here, but that if it doesn't work, if it takes you to the Airbnb homepage, it means that they took the listing down. But if the listing's still up, the listing is still active on Airbnb. So enough under the hood. We'll go into the dashboard. So I have formulas built into this Excel model to extract the best property types, and I have it built in by a ranking system. So based on Atlanta with Airbnb, it shows that Midtown specifically, the region of Midtown within Atlanta, is considered the best area to invest for Airbnb properties, just because of, and it's built on a lot of conditions. And I won't get into the math or the formulas. As you can see, it can look pretty complicated. But it's essentially considering the average occupancy, the average revenue, the amounting listings within that region, and it has to be a certain percentage. So I have it based on about, 17% of the listings have to be that type of unit. So we have a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. So there's 34 2-bedroom, 2-baths in this region of Midtown out of 198 total listings. And that can go for a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, 3-bedroom, 1-bath, whatever have you, within that area. So there's 34 units out of 198 that's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And so this right here is specifically the max rent that you'll need to be paying to achieve your desired revenue. And this number you can change. You can put 10,000 if you want, and then this number, as you see, changes. And it's math based on this tab. So this tab right here is just, I didn't fill out all of the unit types, but for a studio, say on a monthly basis, you may spend $800, for the cleaner, for the expenses from internet, gas, and miscellaneous expenses. You might see that you're spending $800 just on revenue, and then based on the math, we generate the max rent that you can pay in order to receive your desired revenue, and that's based off of a couple conditions, which is also considered around the average revenue. This is just something that spits out as soon as I put the data in. The formulas automatically run their analysis, and then it pulls in the top ranking system. But you're able to also have a drop-down list to pick your own region. So say we want to look at Midtown, which is the best area. But say we click on Midtown, and instead of a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, let's say we want to look at a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. Okay, so a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. The max rent that we'll be able to pay to achieve $10,000 is $850. Good luck trying to find something in Midtown for $850 for 1-bedroom, 1-bath, but that just means that we'll probably have to lower our target yearly revenue. So let's just say $6,000. $6,000, about $1,200. That seems more reasonable. So that's around the revenue that you're going to be looking to acquire in your pocket by the end of the year, based on the metrics of all of the data for 1-bedroom, 1-bath in this region of Midtown. The average occupancy rate is 67%. Average revenue for 1-bedroom, 1-bath is about $32,000, and there's 115 listings out of 198. So, do this with the information as you will, but from my perspective, I believe that that's a lot of competition for 1-bedroom, 1-bath, and 67%, only making $32,000, doesn't really make too much sense to me. But you can always, dive into, different units and see what that's looking like. So 7 units out of 198, less competition, decent, but good luck. 65%, not the greatest, but $40,000 a year is okay. So you can kind of play around with that if you want. And then we have another tab in here that has all of the data formatted in a table format. And it looks confusing, I know, but that's why I have buttons over here where you can kind of drill in and do your own analysis and pinpoint exactly what you're looking for. So I know you wanted to do California, for example, but this is Atlanta. So say we're looking at the occupancy range. Say we're looking at anything from 85 to 100% occupancy is our criteria. So we click on that, and then you see the data has shifted, and it excluded anything other than 85 to 100% occupancy listings. And then say that another criteria is we want to look at, let's pick Fulton County. Click on Fulton County. So now we see only the Fulton County units that have at least 85 to 100% occupancy. And then right here, we can see that there's 42 units that are 85 to 100% occupancy in Fulton County. And there are about, let's see, the average occupancy is 79% for properties generating 45 to 65,000 a year. And if you scroll down, we see the type of listing units that are generating the most revenue. So the darker the green, the more revenue that it generates. So we can see right here that there's 10 listings of a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, which is generating $42,000 on average. So the good thing about this tab, and which is why it's my favorite, you can double click and it brings you a table of all of those listings. And it brings you the good listings and it brings you the bad listings. So we can obviously filter for the good listings. So we take that off, and now these are all the good listings that are generating 85 to 100%. And the reason why these might be considered bad listings is, number one, there's not that many ratings. Number two, it might not have been available for at least 150 days. There could be an array of reasons, but the reason why I bring in all the data is so you can see everything. You can do a proper analysis on everything. So say we look at this one, and this one is generating $30,000 to $45,000 a year. So let's go over to the link, and if we click onto this link, we see that this is a pretty nice property. Average or rate right now is 121. There's 89 reviews, 4.67 stars. Okay, so now we can kind of do a deep dive into, say we wanted a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. We can do our own analysis on whatever property we're looking at. And so we can see the units that are doing good, how they look, versus the units that are doing pretty bad. So that's always an option. And then the last tab is the tab based on latitude, longitude, and it's not occupancy, it's actually revenue. So let me just change that. So it's built on revenue. So this is a list of each property in the longitude and latitude. So we're able to kind of go in here, and I can show you this. I'm not sure if your computer allows it, or if your version of Excel will allow this, but we'll show the map of Atlanta and go in and say we want to look at heat map. Okay, so this is the heat map of all the revenue in this region of Atlanta. So the redder the hue of red is the more revenue that specific area is generating. So say, let's look up Midtown, Georgia. Let's see if that, yep, Midtown Atlanta. So this is specifically Midtown Atlanta. So if we dive in, we can see specifically what areas are generating certain amount of revenue within this field. So let me just take off that, bring that up a little bit more. So we see that within Midtown, this area right here is bringing in good amount of revenue. This area is bringing a decent amount. This area is a little bit lighter, so it might not be the best area for Airbnb, and we can kind of, zoom in and take a deeper dive look. So if we zoom in and we see that, okay, we have a handful of listings. So this kind of looks like apartment buildings. And then we can kind of look around and say, okay, they have a church over here, Walgreens. They have probably I'm not sure exactly what that is, Edward Peter House, not sure. And then let's just say we look over here and we see that, Okay, we got global headquarters. We got Plaza Midtown over here, the Market Atlanta. So this area might be a decent area for renters to stay. These might be certain type of properties that people might be attracted to a little bit more. But if you notice that everything in terms of generating revenue is on this side of the highway. So this might tell me that this side of the highway might not be the best region. It might be a little bit dangerous, or whatever the reason may be. This is just kind of giving you a good direction into where or why certain properties are generating revenue versus certain areas aren't generating revenue. So this is a little bit more deeper dive analysis into the specific part of the region that you want to kind of put your listing that attracts certain individuals. So this is a really good way to kind of deeper dive into your analysis and figure out exactly what your comps, what your competitors are doing, what their properties are looking like, and I think this can lead you in the right direction. So this is a little bit about it. I try to go over everything, but if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to hop on a call. Just leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.